Hey, it's Rachel, and today we're talking about a topic known as rejection. So, a lot of people are afraid of getting rejected, and also because of that, it also forms this fear of asking because obviously, when you ask, then there's this percentage chance that you'll get rejected, depending on the request that you ask to the other person. And so, today, we're going to share about the game of rejection and how do you manage it? So how do you deal with rejection? How do you stop yourself from this fear of rejection and this fear of asking so that you can achieve more? And I'm going to break down a little bit about rejection and how it actually doesn't affect your life that much. In fact, you probably see that it has no change to your life. So getting rejected means nothing. And getting a yes means a lot of other things that could be potential for you. So, to start, rejections, they're so common and yet they're so unbearable. It's like when you put in, like a cover letter and like a resume to your boss. I mean, not your boss, sorry, to apply for a job and then you get rejected. It is really, really frustrating because you just feel, is it because I'm not good enough? Is it because I haven't performed well? Is it because, of something I wrote in my cover letter? Is it because the interview just didn't go well? And then it also applies in so many other areas of our lives. It's like when let's say you're a guy, you're trying to ask a girl out, and the girl's like, no, thank you. Let's not go out together. And you'll be wondering, is it because I'm not handsome enough for her? Is it because I'm not funny? Is it because and it just crushes so much of your self-confidence. But actually, maybe you just haven't tried hard enough. And maybe that person or that job or whatever that is isn't suitable for you. You know, that's the reason why you get rejected. They don't feel that you're suitable. But it doesn't mean that you'll never find someone suitable. And it also brought me to um I remember one of my friend's friend who uh had like I would say, I guess like a breakup. I don't know. I've not gone into that much of relationships yet. But basically, you know how when people break up and then they feel so down and as if like they've just been rejected from future relationships. And it's crazy how people think that way when they've got so much potential ahead of them. But to be honest, it's all like completely a mindset thing. So it's not something that, yeah, you can brood over it. You can say, oh my gosh, maybe there isn't someone for me. But actually, that isn't the case. Maybe you just haven't tried hard enough. So, rejections, what I mean by you won't lose anything is let's say that you're trying to ask someone out to dinner at 8 o'clock on that particular Friday night, and that person said no to you. The only difference that the dinner is gonna make is you're still gonna have dinner. You may be having it at some other time, and you're not gonna have that person with you. But your life doesn't change, it stays the same. You're just asking someone out, and that person rejected you, and that's it. There's nothing that affects your life. And say, for example, you're applying for a job and you were rejected from the job application. I mean, the sort of the final process. So in the end, they decided not to hire you. That's okay. I mean, you're still back to square zero. It's as if nothing has changed. It was still the same as when you just applied for a job. So your life doesn't change. But yet, if you decide to stop trying, if you decide to, just give up, then your life will never change. And sometimes change could be a good thing because if you continue trying and trying and trying, and then you finally get the job or the career of your dreams, you finally get like the women of your dreams or the man of your dreams, then that can only mean a lot more for you. And that can only mean, your whole life has changed. Someone could take care of you and you can take care of him or her for the rest of your life. And that is after through trying and trying. And so let me just give you a few stories of, people who have really succeeded a lot. And a lot of people might not know like the rejections in the past, they just see the successes now. So we want to bring you through all the rejections that they've had that have built their personality, their character, have strengthened them, that they keep fighting on, and finally they got the success that they want. And always remember, some will, some won't. So what? It's okay. Who's next? Especially in sales, especially when you're trying to, because in fact, relationship is also the same thing as sales in a sense that you're trying to sell yourself to the other person. But essentially, there will be people who will say yes to you, and there will definitely be people saying no. But that's okay. So what? You're just finding the person that's going to say yes. It is just a numbers game. So the more you try, the more likely you'll say yes. Especially for people who are just starting in business. If you haven't tried enough, if you haven't got enough rejections, you're probably not knowing where you're going. And you can hire all the mentors, which is great. Like I totally encourage, learning from people who have successes. But it doesn't mean that by learning from them, you're not going to fail at all. So it is really important to normalize rejection and failure. To share with you a few stories, the first one would be about Walt Disney. Really, really short, because I just want to mention that all the rejections that he had is the one that brought him to build this Disneyland empire. And he has been rejected 302 times before someone finally said yes. And through the process of building Mickey Mouse and all the Disney films and TV shows, they finally got to where Disney is right now, where Disneyland is all over the world, widely enjoyed by families all around. And KFC didn't become KFC without Colonel Sanders, can't really pronounce that, but basically he's got 1,009 rejections, even before someone said okay to his chicken recipe. And so if he hadn't kept trying at the age of, when he was pretty old, I believe he was 65. At the age of 65, he kept trying. He just wanted to share his chicken recipe with the rest of the world, or in fact, just to get it sold in a few stores, actually, not for the rest of the world, but it eventually expanded. He had to go through so many rejections, and he didn't give up. He just kept going until someone said yes. And now KFC is just all over the world as well, and we get to enjoy fried chicken. We have also one more, which is The Chicken Soup for the Soul by Jack Canfield. He has been rejected 144 times by publishers who thought that, this is just a book on positive stories. Nobody will read it. And he's just been rejected, and finally, someone said yes, and it became a bestseller. I believe it's New York Times bestseller. And one of the most prominent examples is actually Sarah Blakely, but her story is a little bit more deeper because from young, Sarah's dad has always instilled in her this concept of embracing rejection. So from young, every single week, Sarah was expected to tell her dad, something that she's failed in. And if she hasn't failed in anything, her dad would be disappointed. So it has totally instilled in her this concept that failing is okay, getting rejected is okay, they just have to keep trying. And that's the reason as Sarah has attributed to her success, because for her product, which is the Spanx, I believe they call it what, upholstery? Anyway, it is like a woman's wear, and she created that so that women like her could feel a bit more comfortable in their basically what they wear. And so many people and so many manufacturers have rejected her because they didn't see the value of what she created. But eventually someone said yes. And that company, the Spanx company, became $1 billion company, which she sold later on. And yeah, you can see there's massive success after tons of failure. And so it is just a numbers game. The more you try, the more likely you get a yes. And that's the key to, the more yeses you get, obviously, the more success you get. But you have to go through as many no's as possible, usually. And some people might get to the yes faster. Some people might take a little bit longer time. But as long as they don't give up, there will definitely be a yes. And so just to recap, you want to flex that rejection muscle. Be okay with getting rejected. Be okay with failing. You want to normalize it. You want to embrace it. And you want to persist. Like, it's okay that maybe you have run your first Facebook ad and you haven't got any results. That's okay. Just keep learning from it and maybe try tweaking different things and run again. It's okay that on your first sales call, that person says, oh, I'm not ready to invest in you or your product at the moment. That's okay. Because it is just your first sales call. And even if it's on your 10th sales call, that's okay as well. As long as you try to find ways to improve it, as long as you stay persistent, as long as you move yourself slowly, gradually towards the direction that's going to help you to succeed in your next shot, that will be fine. And the idea here is there will be someone who says yes, and it might just be your next one. So never give up. Also, one more thing is there's this TED Talk that says about the 100 days of rejection. I believe it's from a guy named Jiang, because he was afraid of getting rejected and therefore he was afraid to ask, but he decided to do this challenge of trying to ask other people for things that he could get rejected in. And so he wants to build that rejection muscle. He kept asking, and there are a few people who actually said yes to him. Out of his 100 days of rejection, 49 said no, but 51 actually said yes. And so he also developed this idea that actually when someone has rejected you, you could also ask them for the reason why. Why have they rejected you? And that would encourage them to share about that person, to share about why they might have said no and how they could lead you to your next yes. Because they could say like, okay, maybe you ask someone, hey, can I plant this flower in your house? And then that person say, oh, no, because I don't particularly like this flower or something like that. And that person might say, oh, the lady next door, she absolutely loves tulips. Maybe you can try her. And then you go to the lady next door and say, the gentleman besides says that you love tulips, and I have got some tulip seeds here. Would you like me to plant it in your garden? And the lady could possibly say yes, because she loves tulips and you're essentially doing her a favor. And through that asking reason why, you get to know people better, and through that, people feel understood, and you will more likely to get your next yes. All right, that is it for today. So as usual, I wish you an amazing day ahead and spread more love and joy around the world. See ya.